Hello all, and welcome back to another edition of the RGN C64 Roundup, your concise guide to the latest releases and events in today's C64 scene. And for this month's feature presentation, we're going to check out the debut C64 release from Unrolled Loop Studios. Polar Bears in Space is a multi-genre game that features a polar bear being stranded in space. Having found a nearby alien space station on his quest to get home, the objective of the game is to collect 99 crystals that are required to operate a secret underground transporter that will send our polar bear friend back home. The action kicks off as a horizontal scrolling space shooter. Our polar bear is equipped with a jetpack, so it's up, up and away, and the blasting fun commences. One of the first things you'll need to do is pick up a little friend called Snowball. Not only does he provide some additional protection, but he also does a cool trick when you hold the joystick button down. Awesome. As you're flying around, you need to be aware that the polar bear has an energy bar and his jetpack does not have unlimited fuel. So you need to keep an eye out on both things as you're amongst all the blasting action taking place. Shooting alien enemies may result in extras being left behind for you to collect, such as extra energy, jetpack fuel, shields, smart bombs, weapon upgrades, and extra lives. Back to the game objective, we need to locate terminals that grant access to underground caverns. It is here where we can find the crystals we need. Next to the crystal counter at the top of the screen, you'll find an indicator directing you to the terminal you need to access next. When you've located the next accessible terminal, land in front of it and pull the joystick in the down direction to trigger the puzzle phase of the game. The objective here is simple. You need to slide puzzle pieces around in order to form a specific pattern before time runs out. Get it right and access to the cavern is granted. Get it wrong and then you have waves of menacing mines that you need to deal with. Having obtained access to an unlocked cavern, the game moves into a platformer mode, and this is the primary element of Polar Bear in Space. You can jump on top of most aliens to kill them, but the black spheres need to be avoided at all costs as they inflict instant death. Playing through the first cavern allows us to understand that timing is key, and that certain things can be used in a way to pull off moves or jumps that otherwise are impossible. Once you've collected all crystals available in a cavern, the screen will briefly flash to let you know that you can exit and fly back up into space where the blasting action kicks in again. As you are flying around, you do have the option to let off a smart bomb that is devastating to all enemies and structures surrounding Polar Bear. You can also use shields for protection, but make note that you may want to keep them to absorb the menacing mines attacking you after failing to complete a terminal puzzle in time. And the shields are required to help you get through some of the cavern screens that contain energy sapping generators. So one key takeaway is that to be successful at Polar Bears in Space, you need to carefully manage your energy levels and ensure that you always have a shield handy before going into some of the caverns. Even though enemies within a cavern level do not respawn, these levels can be very, very tough and often require pixel-perfect timing or jumps in order to get through unscathed. Here's a small selection of these types of areas. Hardened players will absolutely love the challenge imposed by the game. while the rest of us will require a degree of perseverance to repeat certain sections over and over again until we work out the best way to move forward. It can get a little frustrating at times, but when you get the move just right, then the sense of accomplishment is just great. Polar Bear in Space stands out due to its obvious influences from games such as Whizball and Drop Zone. It is a very well produced title. The graphics look very polished and the action moves around flawlessly. The game sound effects are quite good, particularly in the cavern sections. Do you think you're up for a challenge? Well then, Polar Bear in Space is the game for you. Coming soon via Cytronic software in both cassette and disc versions, while RGCD will be looking to release the game as a cartridge at some point in the future. It's been relatively quiet on the news front in recent times, but let's check out a few of the items that caught my attention. Rhys Clatworthy has released a small playable demo of Stoker, which looks simply stunning. Prior to this demo, I had reservations about whether the gameplay field of vision would be too narrow given the size of the dragon character, but any concerns I had about this have now been cleared. I quite like the jumping animation of the dragon and the detailed graphics all throughout. Stoker still has some way to go before it's completed, but we'll be sure to provide updates on the game throughout 2022. I look forward to seeing the other level environments as they become ready, as Rhys's artwork is quite impressive. Our feature game from last month, Who Was Ear DX, has been released and is now available as a digital download from itch.io and as a physical cartridge from Bitmapsoft. Undead was an ambitious C64 game that was being developed by a couple of young coders during the early 1990s. Despite being able to produce a playable level, the project was abandoned. Well, the original coders have just announced that they are resurrecting the project and are looking at seeing the game through to completion. Undead draws inspiration from games like Splatterhouse and Kung Fu Master, and it is likely that the game will retain its original simple game design. Bobr Games is now taking orders for a special interactive cartridge edition of Monster Catcher. Bobr Games sent in this footage illustrating how the optical lighting on the cartridge responds to the action taking place within the game at the same time. This looks to be a nice little addition to those of you who actively collect C64 physical titles. There have been quite a few new releases over the past month, so let's take a look at some of the more prominent ones. Aris Kavalos has released a C64 port of Night Night, a game originally released for the MSX in 2019. Night Night features 80 levels of single-screen platform action. To complete each level, we need to guide our character across every floor tile before a door key is revealed. When we grab the key, we can then head on to the door and exit to the next level. And we need to do this all before a timer runs out. There are a number of pickups available that can either aid us in completing a level or result in bonus points being awarded. Night Night can be a little repetitive, but there is no doubt that Aris has done a good job with his faithful conversion, and there is certainly an old school charm about the whole game. Well worth checking out. And with that iconic intro music, we have the C64 port of Galaga, released by Arlisoft. The Commodore 64 finally gets a good version of Galaga that it always deserved. Yes, it is a little glitchy here and there, and by no way does it fully recreate the arcade experience, but this is probably what I like most about this conversion. It looks and feels like a C64 game. Arlisoft does a good job to mimic almost all of the features and nuances that makes Galaga stand out on its own within the genre, and the addition of a two-player co-op mode is a nice touch. Galaga is a fun title to play as long as you accept its limitations. HAWX by the New Dimension is essentially a Galaxian clone. You fight wave after wave of deadly Starhawks as they swoop down and attack you. Your job is to simply shoot them all down and clear the level, in which then you get to do it all over again with the difficulty increased. As a little twist to the genre, shooting green eggs may result in a temporary shield being activated for you to use. Starhawks does look nice graphically, but enemies only come down in diagonal waves and the action on offer does become repetitive quite quickly. Bobr Games has released Space Collection, a space-themed compilation of games presented in a cartridge format with 4 different styles of games. Babylon's Ark by Frodowind is an adventure game that sees the last of humankind fleeing Earth and living on a big generation spaceship. You start the game by finding out that not all is right with the ship and that the robot's mechanics need your help to fix the problem. So you're sent off to go around talking to other people on the spacecraft in order to locate the part required to fix the ship. To succeed on your mission, you basically need to talk to everyone on board and ask the right questions at the right time to trigger the gradual opening up of the game. You'll have to do favours for some people in order to be rewarded with items that will help you progress. The game world is not very large. There are only 6 or 7 screen locations and solving the puzzle is not difficult. I was able to complete the game in about 30 minutes and quite enjoyed my time playing it. The Bobr Games version of Babylon's Ark features improved visuals and extended quests. Flying Saucers was originally released by Black Hole back in 2020. It is a horizontal shooter with two-way scrolling that may remind you of the classic game Falcon Patrol. Take off from the aircraft carrier, locate a handful of alien crafts to shoot them down, and then try land safely back on the carrier. Simple game with a couple of nice touches. The Bobr Games release includes new music and introduction screens, along with new enemy patterns, a wave counter, and joystick port 2 control. Space Firehawk, developed by Carsten Senkel, was originally released last year as well. The game is inspired by the classic arcade game Space Firebird and features 12 different enemy types, asteroid runs, boss battles, and a nice twist on the weapon and ship upgrade system when you complete a level. Pulling down on the joystick can activate a shield mechanism that can also be used to take out enemies. The game does start off a little slow, but starts to come into its own a few levels in, to provide an enjoyable shooter experience with a bit of an old school arcade charm thrown in. The Bobr Games version of Space Firehawk features a refreshed spaceship design and the ability to change its colour when in the space station. Space Planters by Vintage Computing Corinthia is perhaps the most interesting game on the Space Collection compilation. The game can be best described as a hybrid match 3 puzzler and sandbox galaxy construction game. Essentially, you place space-themed objects on a grid. Putting 3 of the same object next to each other results in them merging together to become one higher level object, and you continue doing this until there's no more room on the game grid. At times, the aliens will impede you from carrying out your plans, but a well-placed bomb can be used to make room. This is a nice little casual style game to pass some time with. The Space Collection cartridge can be ordered from Bobr Games now. The package includes a transparent illuminated cart and a couple of nice feelies. And that is a wrap on another roundup. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Looking back on it, I can see it ended up as having a bit of a space theme to it. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video, and thank you to those viewers who go that one extra step to support the channel. Until next time, bye for now.